Many people in rural and regional Australia are suffering from a drought, and it's not because of a lack of rain. This drought is about a lack of data. Internet speeds so slow it's impossible to do online banking or email a small photograph. There's potentially good news on the horizon with the launch this week of the NBN's new Sky Muster satellite. It won't be operational until the middle of next year, so an improvement in internet speeds could be many months, even years away, much to the frustration of those who need improved services now to conduct everyday business and school their children.
Time goes by so slowly, time goes by so slowly, time goes by.
Over the past year, internet services in the bush have been going backwards. With the system overloaded, there's not enough data to go around. So thousands of customers are finding their accounts subject to a frustrating computer practice called shaping. Shaping is when your monthly limit's used up and internet access is cut off or drastically slowed.
I pay 18 times more for data than anyone in the city, and I have slower speeds than basically old dial-up speeds.
The drought has been catastrophic for most of central Queensland and other parts of Australia. And the internet saga has been the straw that broke the camel's back as far as I'm concerned. We're in a data drought.
Shaping isn't universal, as internet services vary. But it's happening to many of the 40,000 users of NBN Co's interim satellite service, as well as Telstra's broadband customers.
I know there's a couple of people who've got problems with this internet at the moment. It seems to be very all over.
Those struggling in the digital world without, well, much digital, feel like second-class citizens.
In this day and age, if they can provide high-class internet to the warriors in the Serengeti Desert or in Mongolia, why can't we do it in Australia?
Megan Munchenberg lives at Gregory Downs in the Gulf. Her 2 children and 3 others do School of the Air in the cattle station's schoolroom. Under the old 100 gig data plan, no one missed out. But that all changed in March when NBN Co introduced its fair use policy. Designed to ease congestion, all satellite users took a data haircut.
So we first of all got a notification saying that we would be brought down in our data capacity each month from 100 gigabytes, and initially it was down to a 50 plan, and then from a 50 plan it came down to 45.
No, we're having trouble with our connect.
That's okay, you can just listen for today.
Of 45 gig, only 20 gig is available during school hours. It's not enough for 5 students, so the schoolroom is shaped every month.
Each child, I think, by standard has been recommended that they all would need 20 gigabytes a month each. So currently we have 20 gigabytes for 5 children.
Satellite customers who ran out of data used to be able to buy extra to get them through. But under the fair use policy, they can't. So now every month they lose their internet.
Why isn't it working?
The children can't log in to iConnect, which is a form of connecting with their teacher. Each child has an hour each day. They also have, their online programs, which they can't connect to because the connection speed is simply too slow or uses too much data.
You do have a genuine reason to be chasing education funding for your kids. We do have a future that relies on these kids having a good education and having the opportunity to have that education at home where they can also learn the real life skills.
At the recent Isolated Children's Parents Association's national conference, An unprecedented number of motions were about poor internet services.
We have lessons starting from 8 o'clock in the morning. Congestion is an issue. Our girls struggle to get onto lessons some days. Anything after lunchtime doesn't happen. Our girls can't actually achieve lessons in the afternoons. Congestion is that bad.
Somebody, government, NBN, whoever, has to get their act together and do something for these parents, because otherwise I can see in the next ICPA conference we will be coming to government and saying we need more mental health funding for these parents that are just at the end of their tether.
There was a lot of anger when we were talking about the communications motions because it affects everyone every day, every hour of the day basically. That emotion, when you then add in the mix of children, becomes very heightened. So a mother's passion for her children is almost unstoppable.
Many end users have communicated to NBN and the government that the service is far from perfect, and some tell us they have not seen any improvement.
The then Parliamentary Secretary for Communications, Paul Fletcher, agreed data limits were insufficient for educational needs, but explained why services have declined.
So the previous government, when it announced the NBN, one of the first things it did was establish the so-called interim satellite service. They leased transponder capacity on existing satellites, of itself a sensible thing to do. But they sold it as having enough capacity for 250,000 premises. They only leased enough capacity for 48,000. The amount of capacity that's available per end user is a bit under 10 gigabytes a month. There were retail service providers selling plans with download limits of 60 gigabytes a month.
On average, the interim satellite performance has improved over the last 6 months.
But as NBN Co's Gavin Williams spoke, some openly scoffed, others shook their heads.
More than frustration, it was just despair. You know, it was, he is not telling us anything we want to hear. He's not telling us anything that's going to solve our problem. I felt that they were thinking he's not even admitting there's a problem.
The other key motion, I think, on the interim satellite is around what the hell can we do now? The service is called interim for a reason. It pulled together some capacity that's available on other commercial satellites in the industry. So it was not a system that was built ground up to support broadband for the bush. So unfortunately we are dealing with a system that has hit capacity. But look, we're not going to rest on our laurels. We're taking on board the feedback that we're getting, much of it critical, and we will work to improve to every extent we can until we can get services running on the long-term satellite.
So it sounds like it's the satellite equivalent of what the people in the bush do with baling twine and barbed wire.
That's possibly right. But to put it in perspective, that interim system has an aggregate capacity of less than 4 gigabits per second. So I think about 4. The 2 new satellites will have 134. So it's a massive increase in data capacity across the country.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage Vulcain. Allumage de CAP, décollage.
The oversold, overloaded service will be replaced by NBN Co's new long-term satellite service. Sky Muster, the first of 2 new satellites, launched this week. NBN Co calls it a game changer, promising it won't disappoint its 200,000 rural and remote customers.
It's a $1.8 billion investment. And it will deliver world-class broadband with higher speeds, bigger allowances, and a satellite that's designed from the ground up for the people in regional and remote Australia.
But there's months of testing before Sky Muster becomes operational mid-next year. And it could be a further 18 months before rural customers benefit. They say that's too long to wait.
They oversubscribed it, come up with a solution to fix it, and fix it now because businesses are closing,
You know, families are moving away from the bush in droves because they can't access services that they need to live there.
Would your message today be, I'm sorry guys, you just have to wait, there's not much we can do to really improve the service?
Fundamentally, I think there's a level of truth in what you're saying, but we won't rest until we are making sure that we do everything that we can do.
Last month, the then Communications Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, said the existing satellite system has been a complete failure and first-class internet services for the bush was a top priority. The federal government is working with NBN Co to make 2 ports available in each home, one dedicated to education. Canberra's also found more money.
$18.4 million was allocated to increase transponder capacity, and that has increased what's available by roughly 1/3. This toughening up of the contractual terms between NBN and the retail service providers is another part of that work to correct the position.
I've yet to find a member that's told me their satellite internet has got better in the last 3 or 4 months. Now, if they're limiting the download capacities, they're limiting all this, why are we still getting worse?
Christy Sparrow, an advocate for better bush internet services, says rural users are victims of a data drought and an information drought.
What data limits? What costs? How long is it going to take you to service every family? Is it going to be mid-2016, late 2016? Then they have to actually go physically and put new software and installations on properties. You know, we're talking several years to do that. So these families can't wait that long.
Do you see why they're so angry that while city people are talking about Netflix and cat videos and gaming, they can't get onto one banking site? Do you get that there's a divide and it's almost like they're second-class citizens?
My passion and my commitment is to continue to listen, to learn, and to see what we can do to fix things. I've got 5 children, and I remember thinking about the critical importance of the education and the quality.
To hose down the anger at the Isolated Children and Parents Conference, Andrew Cool brought a gift.
If you could find a way of unmetering the majority of the sites that we use for education, that would be a big leap forward. So we found 38 sites that on ADSL, fixed broadband, mobile broadband, will unmeter all of those sites.
The catch is it's only for Telstra customers, not those on the interim satellite. Unmetering was a huge win for mobile broadband customers, and largely due to Christy Sparrow, who lives on a cattle property in central Queensland. A year ago, she started the Better Internet for Rural, Regional and Remote Australia Facebook page after talking to a friend about shaping.
Sometimes we'd go to bed and we'd wake up and 2 GB later, and we just didn't have 2 GB to spare like that, and I couldn't work out what was going on. And she said, hey, I'm doing the same thing here, and I'm up at Charters Towers, and how about we start up a Facebook group and see if other people have got the same problem? So we did, and it just snowballed.
The page has become a digital town square for rural people with internet problems. So you don't read the postings on her Facebook page and cringe? And go, we're causing, we're part of that problem?
Well, I'm in a customer business, and part of being in a customer business is constantly looking at ways to improve the lives of our customers.
After meeting Christy a year ago, Andrew Cool visited Alpha. She brought him here to Islay Plains Station.
It meant much more to me than I ever imagined it would. Obviously, originally coming from the UK, it was a massive education for me in terms of just the sheer size and scale and geography of Australia. I got to witness distance education happening in front of me. I got to witness the ups and downs. And it was Christy that said to me at the end of that visit, Andrew, if you could unmeter those websites for us, that would make a dramatic difference for us in this space. So that's what we've done.
And I never in my wildest dreams thought that unmetering would be an option, and I'm just thrilled that this is going Australia-wide. So if you're on any type of Telstra service other than satellite, you will be able to have unmetered access to the main sites used for distance education, but they're actually also used in state schools Australia-wide as well.
Unmetering education websites will make a big difference at Islay Station, which has 5 children doing distance education.
Definitely good news. Yeah, it just frees up that you do have that option, you know, for the kids to do all their online web lessons.
You did it. Select another tab to continue.
This schoolroom has a Telstra mobile broadband 25 gig plan. Unlike satellite customers, the Appletons can buy more data, but the cost is prohibitive.
That's right.
The Distance Ed offer 2 one-hour lessons a day through their iConnect web lessons, and this year, just due to having a really big classroom and, you know, the limited data, we limit the kids to only doing one of those lessons. Yeah.
So your rationing is, do you think your kids are missing out because of that?
To a degree, I think they are, especially just interacting with their classmates and with their teacher, having that time with them. Yeah, it definitely makes, they are missing out, yeah.
So you will have to do some measuring here and some working out.
The webcams Jack and Alex use to see their teacher chew through data. While unmetering will help, they'll still be restricted to a fraction of the data city people have.
We have 25 gig now. I think, you know, it'd be just nice to have double that. 50 gig would be, you know, that's, you know, so you're not asking for probably unreasonable amounts. You don't want unlimited, just an affordable amount.
Hello, Fiona, our internet's not working. Yeah, it's sort of been a bit spazzy.
Christy Sparrow knows what running a schoolroom's like with limited data. She taught twins Madeline and Tom last year, a year she says was horrific.
We're just continually running out of data, and it got to the stage where I had to ring the school and say, hey, could you just watch what emails you're sending us, how big they are, because we don't have the usage that you have. The kids were dropping out of their on-air lessons, and because the curriculum was getting more difficult, they were in year 7, the school were doing more of it online to help out the home tutors, and we were eating through more data and more data.
With the twins boarding this year, Christy planned to use the schoolroom to resume her craft business. But that's been shelved while she runs the Facebook page, which isn't easy when you're on just 25 gig a month.
And we're getting very close to the end of our usage. We're at 97%, so that's not going to do me until the end of the month, and we're going to be shaped, which means the speeds will be so slow that basically we'll be cut off from all internet.
As word of the Facebook page has spread, Christy's been stunned by the stories of hardship, stress and cost followers are sharing.
Yeah, I have heard of families leaving the bush, and that's really heartbreaking because we don't need any more people to leave. I've heard of properties up north that don't have enough data to share, so they can't possibly employ a family that has children that need to be educated because they simply don't have enough data to run their business.
While much of the talk on the Facebook page is about education, shaping is seriously affecting rural businesses. Christy and her husband Alex run cattle. The beef business has gone high-tech with electronic ear tags. Forms tracking each animal's tag must be filed before they can leave the property. Being shaped makes it difficult to comply.
Oh, it's a heartache. It's just a heartache. Like trying to organise NIS tags and putting cattle on databases and all that, it's just a pain in the butt. When we lose the internet, we have trouble trying to put way bills and statute decks and MLA and all that. We just can't get permits, so the meatworks doesn't want to set our cattle because we can't get paperwork to them.
Christy admits to data envy. In nearby Alpha, one woman pays just $200 a month for a whopping 1,500 gig, while Christy pays $600 a month for a mere 25 gig.
I just feel really sad that Telstra can't find the compassion to actually understand where we're coming from. I understand the technology costs more, but they really wouldn't have to give us a lot more data to let us get by, and they're throwing data at these people that are only 60 kilometres away from me.
Shaping's hampering all sorts of farm enterprises. 2 hours east of Alpha at Gindi near Emerald, Andrew Bate runs a high-tech robotic business from his grain property. A challenge when internet speeds drop to a crawl. He says his competitors in Silicon Valley would laugh if they knew he went to his mum's in Emerald to get service.
Our competitors sit in other places around the world and have unlimited internet speed and have unlimited download limits. Obviously we can't survive on 0.2. I mean, in our business we need to be able to do serious video conferencing, work with people around the world, also robotic experts around the world, and we need to have that connectivity out here in agriculture. So, look, through a lot of pain, I've gone through thousands of... I've got a 44-gallon drum full of different antennas and internet devices we've tried.
The shed, and they're...
To ensure the business isn't forced off-farm, he's looking at spending $15,000 on a microwave link. Andrew Bate works in a world of future possibilities and wonders if NBN Co has future-proofed itself. Broadband use has grown 25% a year since 2010. The National Farmers Federation says if uptake increases by just 10% a year, the 2 new satellites will be at capacity in 4 years.
The minute it comes on, I would get 5 connections here. It would be of benefit to me, you know, that would be great. But I think, you know, I don't think NBN realises how much pent-up demand there is out there. They're saying agriculture is going to be the next big boom in Australia, and this ag-tech boom is certainly the part that we're involved in, and, you know, if we're not connected, we haven't got a chance.
The Telstra are to be commended, but there's still a lot of service providers out there that could go a long way into helping and showing a little bit of compassion to what some of the families are faced with.
No doubt the new Communications Minister, Mitch Fifield, will soon know Christy Sparrow's name.
I think if we all join together, we can make a difference.
She says she won't give up badgering, phoning, emailing, tweeting and Facebooking for better services.
We choose to live where we live, but the world is such a digital age that we need to be provided with equality when it comes to internet access.
And backing Christy are rural families from around the country.
And we encourage people to keep on complaining and keep on lobbying and don't get apathetic.
Hello, hello, hello.
I hope that we're not shouting into the wind, because without hope, what have we got?
Hello, hello. Hello, hello.